Hi there. I've been playing around with a cat design because I've always found it difficult to find a cat that I like and it's relatively simple and quick to do. So I came up with this sort of fat cat idea. It does look very cute, especially with the sort of proportions. Someone mentioned that he might look a bit more like Garfield in the right colours, which is true, I suppose. So this is the design we're going to make today. There is a variation on it which uses a 646 for the head and the body, whereas the other version uses quick links, which is what we'll use today. And the body and head design can then be used to create other designs like this polar bear here, for example. Okay, so we're going to crack on with that and see how we get on. I've used two quick links, one for the head, one for the body, and then both of these are the bigger version of the quick link. This one's about 7 or 8, I guess, inches, and this one is about as big as a smaller 6-inch quick link would go, but you need the flexibility in the balloon to be able to push the nozzle all the way through to the other side. If you inflated a small one, you just wouldn't be able to do that without great difficulty. Okay, so that's what we're going for. We're also using for the muzzle a bit of 350, again about 3-4 fingers, 3-4 inches for the mouth, and for the nose a small bit of 260. What's that, about a finger and a half there. And then in two ends of a 262 scraps, I've just done two little puffs of air for eyeballs. You can do eyes whichever way you like. This is just going to be the way I found works best with this cat. I've got a little scrap as well for tying and securing once we push this nozzle through. I've got a 160 balloon with plenty of tail, and I've got two 260 balloons with about 7 inches of tail or so. I use the green Qualatex pump, and this is about 4 pumps on the green Qualatex pump. Okay, so we'll start with the face. We'll go with this first. So this bubble here I'm going to split into 2 equal bubbles, and this will be from either side of the muzzle or the mouth, however you want to call it, so about equal size. And if you don't get it quite right, just undo it a little bit and squeeze a bit of air from one side to the other. I'm then going to just tie this other side off. Again, personal preference. Okay, this is how I do it. You do it how you want. I'm then going to tie those two together, nice and secure. I'm going to double tie it so that it's secure. Really, what I should have done was trim off the end of this 350 so that you don't get all this air pushing up into the top here. But I'm going to trim the end off there now, but I'm going to leave a lengthy tail. And one of these at least will be used to attach to the black balloon. I'm then going to tie the pink nose on. So again, I'm tying that in and nice and tight and up close to the whites. Just tie that there very quickly. And then I'm going to pass the pink over the end and back round to this bundle of knots here, and I'm going to tie that back in. It just creates the top of the muzzle area. Okay, so I'm just going to tie that back in, double tie it so it's nice and secure, and there we have our muzzle of our cat, with plenty of tail left on the end. This is then going to attach, or one of these pieces is going to attach to here, and I'm going to try and tie it close-ish up to the end here, so because I want a reasonable length to play with when I push it down. So I'm going to use the longest bit here, I'm going to tie it to here and try and keep it fairly close to the top if I can. Okay, so I'm creating that knot, something to grab onto the knot when I push it through to here. So I'm going to push this knot through to this bit here. Once it's through and I've grabbed it and twisted it, I'm going to use this to secure the knot in place so it can't pop back through and come undone. To be fair, with these quick links, with a big one so underinflated, it can cause some difficulties with the balloon sort of pushing around. The air wants to go one way, you want to go another way, and it can look a bit awkward. So there, look, the muzzle's right at the very top. Just squeeze the air and it comes back up. So don't worry if it looks a bit funny when you're doing this. Okay, so I'm going to grab my scrap, wrap that around there a few times and then tie it in. Bear with me while I do that. I kind of need to alter my fingers there and move them. So I'm just going to tie it in to secure that knot in place. And just rearrange the balloon so you've got a nice face. The two eyeballs, again, I just tie those together. Now what I have done in the past, and I'll show you on the 646 cat, is I've used one piece, just going to trim those knocks off, and pinch twisted two bubbles. So here, those eyes are actually two pinch twists, and then I've dragged the tail down and wrapped it round. Whereas this way, with two little bubbles, all I need to do is pass them from the bottom to the top and twist them over to lock them in place. Hopefully, just rearrange and tuck that bit away. There we have our cat face. This then gets attached to the other quick link, tied in, nice and tight. Give it a real good pull tight. Couple of knots. Okay, making sure it's nice and secure. And there we have our cat. You can almost see it's kind of finished already. It just needs feet and ears and a tail. For the ears, I'm using a 160 balloon, and I use about 4 finger loop twists. So I sort of gauge about 4 fingers and loop it round. What you don't want is the ears sticking up too high. So if you make them too big, just lock that in place by pulling the nozzle around. If you make the ears too long, it can look a bit out of proportion with the rest of the body. You kind of just want them sticking up just a little bit above the cat's head, not too far. Okay, I don't need the rest of that for the moment. I'm going to save this for the tail. Okay, so I'm just going to tie that off. I always like to tie these off. I do see people wrapping things round, and that's fine. It'll hold for a while. I like to kind of kiddie-proof it as much as possible if I can. So this is then going to pass from the bottom of the head to the top, and then I'll twist them. I'll lock them in place by pushing one from one side to the other, just to lock them in place around the top of the head. So I'm just going to do that now. And again, don't worry if the face distorts while you're doing this. There we go, locked in place. And we can see the ears. You can see that. The ears are just about in place there. And again, the head shape will alter as you play with it until you're finished. So the feet with a black 260.